The Dragonback Series by Timothy Zahn. Book 6. Dragon and Liberator. Chapter 28.
Something's happening.
Uncle Verge called over the roar of the SNA's drive.
The Kadash-on-Teen warships seem to be changing formation.
Let me see,
Draco said, raising his head from Jack's collar for a better look at the displays. The computer was right. The Kadash-on-Teen defenders were definitely reconfiguring. Maybe Allison got through to them, Jack suggested. If the Advocatus Diaboli's radio was set up to transmit through the bubble, she might have gotten to it and clued them in. Dracos didn't answer, his eyes on the SNA's display. The defenders finished their maneuvering.
No,
he told Jack.
She didn't get through. At least not enough.
What do you mean?
Uncle Verge asked.
That's an intercept and capture formation,
Draco said, flicking his tongue toward the display.
Not the pattern they would use if they knew they were facing the death.
Great, Jack muttered. You sure? I mean, no offense.
None taken,
Dracos assured him. The boy's question had no implied insult to it, he knew.
A Death Guard formation cannot be mistaken for anything else.
I didn't think so, Jack said. Dracos lowered his head back flat onto Jack's shoulder, feeling the dark stream of his host's thoughts. No, there hadn't been any insult in Jack's question, because there hadn't even been a real question there. Jack's words had been little more than sound designed to fill an empty space that would otherwise have held a terrible truth and a dark conclusion. A conclusion Dracos himself had already come to.
More movement,
Uncle Verge said.
This time just those three crowds and Evelyn ships angling out behind us. They put on a burst of speed.
How soon before they catch up with the Advocatus Diaboli? Jack asked.
At current speed, roughly the same time the Advocatus Diaboli and Foxwolf reached the defenders.
Jack exhaled in a long hiss. So the scam part is officially over, he said. They've switched to your basic full frontal assault.
So it would seem,
Dracos agreed.
Blast it all, why don't they just run?
Uncle Verge asked tensely.
I mean, the Kadash-on-Teen. Why don't they just turn the fleet around and run,
They can't,
Dracos said.
Our hyperdrives need time to cool down and reset before they can be used again. They won't be able to escape into hyperspace for at least 8 hours.
By which time they'll all be dead, Jack murmured. Draco studied Jack's face out of the corner of his eye. The boy had seen the truth all right and had come to the same decision Dracos had. The only decision possible for a Kada warrior.
As things stand now, yes,
he confirmed.
So what do we do,
Uncle Verge asked. Jack took a deep breath. Dracos? He thought.
I understand,
Dracos thought back.
But you don't have to do this. You could eject in the SNA's life pod. Someone might arrive to rescue you before the air ran out.
Someone besides Neverland's goons? Jack countered. Thanks, buddy, but I'd rather go out with you than with them.
So what do we do,
Uncle Verge asked again.
Dracos,
We can't get through the bubble fast enough to alert the refugees, Jack told him. Not forward and not sideways. At least not before Neverland calls in one of the outriding Jin 90s to blow us to bits. So we're going to do something else.
Such as?
Dracos felt Jack brace himself. We're going to attack the Advocatus Diaboli and try to knock out its death weapon.
Where? What?
Uncle Verge demanded.
Jack, lad, in case you hadn't checked the weapons board lately, we're out of missiles. I used them all getting you out of that troop carrier,
I did notice, thanks, Jack said. I also know our meteor defense lasers and particle beam probably won't even scratch Neverland's paint.
So how do you intend to attack?
The only way we can, Jack said quietly. We're going to ram him.
Oh, no,
Uncle Verge said, his voice horrified.
No, 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 Jack lad, you can't. Dracos, please, talk him out of it, huh?
It has to be done, Uncle Verge,
Draco said gently.
I've already offered Jack the option of ejecting before then.
I've already refused it, Jack said.
It won't work,
Uncle Verge insisted.
Langston said Harper rammed too, remember? Neverland won't risk that happening again, especially not with a ship this size. He'll use the death on you, just like he did on Harper, see?
Which will accomplish the same thing, Jack said. His voice and thoughts, Dracos noted, had gone strangely calm. The same calm he'd seen many times in fellow warriors preparing to face death. If Neverland uses the death on us, the Kada and Shanteen will see it and know what they're up against. Either way, we win.
You'll also die.
Jack looked down at Dracos. It's sometimes a warrior's duty to die for his people, he said. Isn't it, Dracos? He thought.
It is,
Dracos returned, assuring him, feeling a stirring of emotion he hadn't felt in a long, long time.
I knew from the first, Jack, that you were more than you seemed, far more than your Uncle Virgil had allowed you to become. I am so very grateful to see that I was right.
I'm kind of surprised myself, Jack thought back dryly, giving Dracos a somewhat forced smile. Let's do it. Dracos lifted his head again to look out the SNA's canopy at the drive glows of the Advocatus Diabli and Gatekeeper in the near distance. And beyond them, at the last hope of his people.
Yes,
Dracos confirmed.
Let's!
This time, they made sure to handcuff Allison's wrist behind her. The bridge hadn't changed much since she'd last been there, she noted, as she was led through the door. A burly Malison Ring mercenary on either side, keeping a cautious grip on her upper arms. Even with the handcuffs, Neverland had finally learned not to take chances with her.
There you are!
Frost greeted her, as calmly as if she'd just been out getting the mail.
I understand we've been a busy girl. Again?
Not as busy as I would have liked, Allison admitted, studying his face. He seemed way too calm for someone who'd been taken in by her con as thoroughly as he and Neverland had. But then, Frost could afford to be calm. Certainly calmer than Neverland. With the collapse of her Allison Davy soap bubble, Frost's own position in this group was suddenly back to normal again.
Well, we'll be making up for that soon,
he said.
Let me see what's been happening since you left. The Lord Highest informs me the Kadashantine warships are now poised to intercept and detain us, still with no idea that we have the death waiting for them. The rest of our attack force has abandoned the original game and is speeding to join us in a straight-up battlefront configuration.
He gave her an evil smile.
And your friend Jack Morgan has just put on a burst of speed, apparently in hopes of getting past us and out of the bubble in time to warn his Kada friends.
Allison looked over at the tactical, her mouth going dry. Frost was right. The SNA was charging straight up the Advocatus Diabli's drive trail. He can't possibly make it in time, she said. You can just ignore them.
It does look that way, doesn't it?
Frost agreed.
But I think it's a little late to start taking unnecessary chances, especially now.
His eyes flicked over Allison's shoulder at Neverland.
Especially with this particular boy in Kada.
I'm sorry I spun you before. The story I spun you before wasn't completely bogus, Allison persisted. A live Kada would bring in an astronomical price at any bioweapons lab.
And I thank you for suggesting it,
Neverland said, coming up beside her.
But there will be plenty of safer specimens for us to choose from later.
He waved toward the display.
Right now, I'm rather looking forward to watching Jack and his Kada die.
Allison swallowed hard. You'll be using the death on him, I suppose?
I think he's counting on that, actually, Neverland said. Our use of the death would finally alert the refugee fleet to the surprise we have aboard.
He smiled at Allison.
But only if they see us use it.
Allison frowned, looking again at the tactical display. What was Neverland up to now? And this time she saw it. You're letting the Foxwolf pull ahead, she said. You're going to lure the SNA in close, where the Foxwolf's bulk will block the refugee's view when you fire the death.
Very good,
Neverland said approvingly.
You really could have been General Davy's daughter, couldn't you?
He smiled.
Of course, there are a few details you don't know.
It won't work, Allison said, trying one last time. It can't work. There's no way you can use the death against enough of them before they realize what's going on.
We'll see,
Neverland said calmly.
In the meantime, we have Jack and his Kadar to deal with.
At the sensor station, one of the displays began beeping urgently.
Sir, we have incoming spacecraft,
the captain snapped, swiveling in his seat and keying some switches.
30 of them, approximately 800 miles aft. All craft accelerating in our direction. Identify!
Frost ordered, moving up behind him.
ID coming up now,
the other said.
16 are Mallison Ring Shrike fast attack fighters. 13 register as Braxton University security cruisers. The 30th...
He swiveled around to face Neverland, his eyes wide.
It's the Angel side,
he breathed. Allison felt her breath catch in her throat. The Angel side? Cornelius Braxton's personal yacht was here? This was not good. Not good at all.
Interesting,
Frost said, his voice glacially calm.
Signal Hammerfall 1 that we have some fresh targets. He's to split Outriders 2 and 3 from his group and send them back to deal with the intruders.
Belay that order,
Neverland said. His voice, too, was calm, but there was a simmering hatred beneath it that froze Allison's blood.
Hammerfall 1 will continue its mission to support the Foxwolf's attack. Backstop will turn back to intercept the intruders.
Sir, 5 G90s can't take on 2 wings of Shrikes,
Frost said urgently.
Don't worry, Colonel. They'll have all the help they need,
Neverland assured him.
As soon as we've dealt with the SNA, we'll be circling back to join them.
He half turned, and it seemed to Allison that he was looking straight at her.
I was going to deal with Mr. Braxton personally. Captain, what's the SNA status?
Coming up fast, sir,
the captain said.
Another 30 seconds and it'll be alongside us.
Then the Foxwolf.
In position and ready.
Frost butted in.
The enemy ships won't see a thing.
Neverland nodded.
Good. Lord Highest, contact your operators.
He looked again at Allison.
Tell them to prepare to fire.
The SNA was nearly to the Advocatus Diaboli's stern now. Steady on, Jack said aloud. They were empty words, he knew, said for no better reason than to fill the empty space around him. In less than a minute, the SNA would be alongside Neverland's ship. And with a push of an alien's hand on a button, Jack and Dracos would die.
There is no shame in being afraid.
Dracos' thoughts came through the pounding of Jack's heart. I know, Jack said, but he couldn't help but feel some shame anyway. Some shame, some fear, and a lot of regret. He didn't want to die, but then he didn't suppose anyone ever really wanted to die.
Careful, Jack,
Dracos warned.
The gatekeeper has positioned itself directly in front of us. Its drive glow may mask the refugee's view of the Advocatus Diaboli as it fires.
Already spotted that, Jack assured him. In his own ham-handed way, he thought with dark amusement, Neverland was still trying to outthink him and Dracos. You just watch and... He broke off the thought. No, Dracos wouldn't watch and learn. Very soon now, neither he nor Dracos would ever learn anything again. Here we go, Jack said instead. Twisting the control yoke completely around, he sent the SNA spiraling into a half circle around the Advocatus Diaboli, coming out on the far side of the ship and well clear of the Foxwolf's blockage. And it was time. It's been an honor to know you, Dracos, he told the Kadar, reaching down to stroke the Kadar's head as it lay flat against his right shoulder. Strangely enough, the words didn't sound corny to him, as he'd been afraid they would.
And an honor to know you as well, Jack,
Dracos replied.
Goodbye, my friend.
Goodbye. Taking a deep breath, Jack threw full emergency power to the SNA's drive, sending the ship jumping forward and outward along the Advocatus Diaboli's side. He had just enough time to see the burst of debris and dust and compressed air that exploded from the Foxwolf's side, swirling blackly directly into his path and completely blocking the view of the distant Kada Shantine defenders. And then, the violet cone of the death cut across space in front of him, slicing across his view of the Foxwolf and the masking cloud of debris. He twisted the control yoke again, trying to pull the SNA out of the beam's path. But it was too late. Before he could do more than gasp, the violet cone swept back toward him, passing unhindered through the canopy, and cut through him like a tingling knife.